Hi there.
Hi there. Welcome to Silhouette's JV podcast.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno. Sì, grazie.
Grazie mille.
Sì, a salud.
A salud.
Yes. I'm the worst Italian ever. I just totally froze on what to say in Italian. Yes.
Well, you know what? It's okay. You know, Italians, Jews, you know what they say.
Yes, David.
Yeah.
This is David, and David is Jewish, by the way.
You haven't noticed by now. I'm David.
And I'm Gia, and we are your hosts of Silhouette's JV podcast, the deepest
dive
dive into Jersey boys one can ever take. And we are here to give you a special perspective of the first Joe Pesci of Jersey Boys. So we are interviewing. Very exciting.
It's crazy. It's not often that you get to interview and talk to people that you've listened to for years on cast recordings. It's not often that that person who's in the Zoom studio with us right now has played roles in shows that have been created by your favorite composers and directors and playwrights and designers. But today we've got a real treat for you guys. We've got a real treat for you guys, for us too.
Yes.
Yeah, big time.
And gals. And everybody.
So joining us in the Zoom studio is Jersey Boys New World Stage's own Joe Pesci and others / Frankie Valli understudy, our friend Joey LaVarco.
Woo!
Joey LaVarco. Joey grew up in Bloomfield, New Jersey.
Not Bloomfield, you fucking asshole. Fairfield.
You said Bloomfield.
Why would I say Bloomfield if it was Fairfield?
I don't know, Donnie. Maybe your brain's fucked up. And don't call me an asshole.
Well, no, that's what you are. Piece of fucking shit, asshole. Fucking
Guys. It's Bergenfield.
Just kidding. Joey, we rehearsed. We had an equity 10. We had an equity lunch. So Joey was born in Fairfield, New Jersey. He's a real Jersey boy and has lit up our lives in some of our favorite entities, including Patrick in Radio City's Christmas Spectacular, which he did in New York City at Radio City and on tour.
Blew my mind.
Yeah. He played Simon in the original Broadway cast of 13 the Musical, composed by Jason Robert Brown, which they just celebrated their bar mitzvah last October 2021. Side note, during the run of 13 the Musical, Joey also created the role of the pig in Delaney and the Pig, which he will tell us about later. He did a national Ring Pop commercial.
Okay.
Ring Pop.
Anybody in our generation knows this Ring Pop commercial. It's insane. And if anybody watched WandaVision, the commercial part of the early 2000s episode was totally influenced by the Ring Pop commercial. Yeah, so Joey's amazing.
And he played young Jack Donaghy in one of my favorite TV shows, 30 Rock. It was a great flashback scene, and Joey, I can't believe it was you. Amazing. He's performed the 54 Below multiple times and even headlined his own show at the Triad Theater on October 21st, 2018.
Yes, and of course, while we're all here today, Joey made his Jersey Boys debut as Joe Pesci and others, and the Frankie Valli understudy in cast 3.0 on the Norwegian Bliss, along with Jersey Boys and Silhouette's alum Michael Fasano. And he went on to replace Josh Skurnick as Joe Pesci and others / Frankie Valli understudy at New World Stages, where he is currently smashing 8 shows a week, some of them as Frankie Valli, which he was the other night.
Exactly.
And we got to see it. I wish I could have seen it. And Joey has become really such a real friend to us, and we know his mom, and his mom Suzan is amazing, and we're just so happy to know him. And it's crazy because we're all the same age. So honestly, I am a little more nervous for this episode than other ones, because we're
contemporaries, as you would say.
Exactly. Yes. So Joey's already on screen. So Joey, come on and say hello.
Give a warm welcome, Joey.
Hello, everyone.
Oh,
what's going on?
Oh my God, this is so amazing.
Yes. Can we talk about your setup here? Okay, so he has the classic these days, the beautiful blue screen. He's got his Jersey Boys playbill, and your comforter is so patriotic. Red, white, and blue. It's
patriotic.
It's actually like black, white, and maroon, but I see on the screen
mind.
It probably looks like red, white, and blue.
Oh, I apologize, but yours is
No,
cooler.
it's okay.
More Maroon 5.
Maroon.
Yeah.
Maroon.
Yes. You had a picture on your Instagram where you're like on Wednesdays you were maroon. That was
oh my God.
On Fridays.
we did research.
We do our research. According to my research, did you watch The Magic School Bus in school growing up?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that
Frizzle.
No, but it wasn't Miss Frizzle. It was one of the girls.
Oh yeah.
I remember who it was. According to my research.
Oh yeah.
And then the dorky guy, the wimpy guy was like, oh, I wish I could have stayed home today.
The one with like the red hair and the glasses.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good old days. All right, so Joey, we cannot wait to talk to you and get to know you more. But first, if it's okay, we'd love to really touch base on what's been happening the past 3 weeks at New World Stages. So of course, basically the Saturday before Christmas, the Omicron variant really lowered the boom on everybody, and a lot of shows were canceled.
Yeah, and I mean, so we thought Jersey Boys was, you know, hopefully, you know, we were like, you know,
immune.
Yeah, I mean, knock on wood. I mean, a handful of shows were getting canceled, but Jersey Boys was kind of like staying above that. But you know. Yeah, so just so everybody knows, I believe the shows on December 18th and 19th had to be canceled, and then the 22nd to the 26th. So that's a pretty rough week for you guys. And and of course people had to fly in. Well, I don't fly in necessarily. People flew in, people drove in. Yeah, crazy. Yeah. And like different costumes had to be found everywhere, or just like new things had to be created. So what's been going on? Please tell us.
So I mean, I feel like everybody has different experiences, even though we're all going through the same thing, like even everybody at Jersey Boys. So I'll say that, you know, the days leading up to it, it felt very much like March 2020, and it was getting really scary. And we all kept saying to each other, you know, we're one out of like 6 shows open in New York right now. Like we knew that the number was just getting smaller and it was really scary. This was, you know, before that Saturday shutdown when it was, you know, till after Christmas. And I got my booster. And then the day after, it was the Friday night show before the Saturday, I called out because I was like, if our shows are still on, let me take today and like nurse this booster thing, be ready for 4 shows this weekend. And then that Friday wound up being the last show. So like afterwards, I was like, shit, did I just like miss the last show for a bit? If this is anything like what happened 2 years ago. Thank goodness we came back that Monday night. And I mean, knock on wood, we're still kind of dealing with it. But we had people come in from almost everywhere now. People who have done the show like 3 to 5 years ago, stepping back into it again for the first time in a completely different show because they did it either on Broadway or Vegas or, you know, somewhere that was not the New World production. And they totally saved our show. It was really just a team effort with everybody making this thing happen on stage, off stage. So we did that for like a week. Most of our cast came back like in the middle of that kind of crazy week, and we're just taking it day by day at this point. You know, I'm at the moment that we speak right now, I'm like one in a handful that hasn't not tested positive yet. So like I'm dodging this thing like the Matrix, I feel. But ultimately the way it seems like it's just getting to everyone. So now we're more prepared. So I don't think the show would shut down if anything were to happen to any of the people who hadn't gotten it yet, because now they know which coverage is needed. God forbid anything were to happen. But really, like, it's a moving puzzle piece. And today that's the case, and tomorrow it might not be. So we're all healthy right now, and that's all I could say. Yeah.
Thank God. Yes. Follow-up question. Is everybody in the cast is good?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, nobody's.
Can we talk about the COVID protocols? Has anything changed or gotten a little bit more intense since that last week in December?
Yeah, there are just like more rules. The masks have to be KN95s.
Mm-hmm. No cloth.
No cloth unless you want to like double. Now I'm at the point, because I haven't gotten it yet, that I'm doing like surgical KN95. Like,
yep,
of course.
Yeah. But like, you know, we have to eat in the house if we're going to eat at the theater, as opposed to like, we used to just like go in the dressing room and eat and kind of be in our space. And now we have to, you know, be considerate of all the small spaces that are there. we do it. We get by. It's not a problem. We test a lot now, like more than we were in the beginning. I figured out like every different kind of COVID test you could do at this point. I've done.
I think the best one, I know the best home test that people love the most are the Lucira, whatever you pronounce it, Lucira. It's like the one that's kind of like electrical, like mechanical.
Oh yeah. We had one of those. Those are like a PCR test.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like an at-home PCR.
Yeah. And they come in like 15-30 minutes. I know Jessica Vosk swears by them. Natalie Gallo swears by them, so, and we follow what queens say.
Of course. Yes.
I started using the My Pure Mist. Because
I swear by that thing.
Because of Jessica Vosk.
Do you have the one with the cord or the wireless one?
I have the wireless one. No. Yeah, I have the wireless one. I have the wireless one. It plugs in to charge, but I do have the wireless one. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I wound up buying a little like neck strap for mine around the theater so that I can like be steaming before the show, but also like have two hands to do my hair and like put my mic in and put my costume on. I'm like fully multitasking here, and at least 5 people have to make some sort of joke out of it every time
I'd love to see pictures.
There's such a cute video. There's such a cute video of Rory Max Kaplan helping you do your hair.
I did not know how to do my hair until like we came back from the pandemic, I swear. Truly.
Well, we can talk about that now if you want with like your pre-show rituals. So you steam right before you go on?
Not every time. It's really not like it used to be every time, and now it's just I'll feel if I need a little bit of it, And I don't do it right before I go on because I want to give myself some time after it. But yeah, like sometimes if I go on for Frankie and it's a matinee, I try and warm up at home, and then I'll come to the theater, do that quick first thing I do, probably have a fight call, and then half hour. So I'll have like enough time between steaming and starting the show that it's productive.
Is New World Stages dry?
Or not particularly? It's not the driest theater I've ever been in, but like that's it's good. Not ideal. It's in a basement of a building.
Well, like, you put it that way.
you're
No, well, so the theater that I performed at Rutgers Newark, the 2 theaters that I performed at, dry as fuck.
Yeah.
Like some.
I don't think New World's that dry.
Okay.
So I feel like I would have made like a more of a mental note of it. I don't think it really is.
Okay.
There's some Broadway theaters I've been in that are stuffy,
Yeah, of course.
Like, so just because the ventilation is not, was never designed for it to be anything other than that.
Right.
Built in the 30s, They didn't give a shit about anything in the 30s. They
didn't have So when you said you would do things like at home, where is home for you now?
I'm in Washington Heights right now.
Heights, cool.
Yeah. At the beginning of rehearsals, I knew that the schedule was going to be crazy, like all day, every day, early in the morning. I was in Jersey with my family for the whole pandemic. So like, I was ready to move out again and like move on and have my own space and like take my own time that I need. And it also just would have been crazy, like the commute every morning and then after rehearsal every night. That's like traveling in and out of Jersey at the worst times you can. Rush hour in the morning and rush hour at night. So that's like 3-ish hours there commuting that I'd lose every day. It was the right move, but I'm here now. It's easy to get to work every day. I'm happy for now. I mean, the world is still kind of like, who knows what's going to happen. So it's good to be here while things are up in the air, and hopefully we'll make some other moves eventually. But for now, this is really good.
Hey, well, you're in the city. You're doing what you can do. That's perfect.
It feels good.
Oh, so we're talking about the present. Let's go back a little bit. Let's go to your early years, as we like to call it. The hoit hoit. This is the hoit hoit section of the show.
Exactly.
Yeah. So if we could talk about, like where you got the theater bug, like take us way back to baby Joey.
Sure. So actually, before I start, I'll say I was actually born in Montclair, New Jersey. But I was raised in I grew up in Fairfield.
in Fairfield. Got it.
Okay, yeah. So he was born in Montclair Field.
Okay.
Montclair Field. Honestly, might as well at this point.
Montclair Field.
Yeah, I don't know. I grew up in Jersey. Very close to the city, like 30 minutes out. So my mother was always obsessed with theater and like was always seeing theater when I was a kid. And eventually I got to an age where she took me for the first time. And my first show was like the original Cats at the Winter Garden.
Ooh.
In the 90s. Like the first show I ever saw. And I loved it. And the ironic thing is like Cats is a show I could literally never be in because I could never dance that in my life.
It's nuts.
But I loved it. It was so great. And like, it was the first time I ever seen like just a group of people and like all the music and all the, the audience watching and just this energy. It was unmatched. I remember one of the cats that came up to me in the aisle and like started like, doing some like head, like, that sounds kind of weird. I rephrase, just started like, doing cat stuff on
nuzzling.
Yeah. Oh.
And I was like a kid. I must have been like 4, and I'm like screaming in the audience. I'm like, it's like right here. My mom's like, yeah, I know. So I'm like, I kept seeing shows when I was a kid. My mom took me all the time. I loved it. And she was watching the Tony Awards for Mamma Mia one year. It was the year that came out. So it was on TV. And it was the year that Urinetown came out and was up for the Tonys. And I saw that performance, that Run Freedom Run performance with Hunter Foster. Oh. And like immediately I was just obsessed. I was like, that's it. I was like, that is it. That's just what I have to do. And I wound up like learning the whole thing and like doing it on the coffee table to the point where like my mom took me to go see Urinetown. And we like wrote a little letter for Hunter Foster because I was the biggest Hunter Foster fan. And we were waiting by the stage door before the show. And the head carpenter was outside smoking a cigarette outside it was the Henry Miller Theater, but now it's the Stephen Sondheim, I think, on 43rd, where Doubtfire is.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah, it was that theater. So run down. It was, and I don't think they did it for the show. It literally looked like an off-Broadway theater like downtown. It was like plywood in the lobby. Yeah, it was just like black painted plywood, in the lobby, and it was just like, but it was a nice theater on the inside. So maybe they did it for the show. I don't know. But he took us backstage before the show, this head carp, and he was like, come on set. We took pictures of like me in like a giant Urinetown shirt on the set. Go outside.
So lucky.
My mom's like, or the head carp, I think his name was Joe, if I remember correctly. It was like, there's your guy walking down the street right now. And like, they're like walking down the street with Hunter Foster. And I have never, ever, no matter what I've done later on in my life, I've never felt more nervous in this moment than I would have ever. But I was just like heart pounding. I give him the letter. I'm like, Hunter Foster, this is for me. He like takes, we talk for like a minute. He's going into half hour. Next thing I know, we like take our seats. Me and my mom, and an usher comes up to us and she's like, are you Joey? My mom's like, yeah. And it's just like, this is from Hunter Foster. And it's this giant basket that has like a Urinetown program in it, like it's candy, like souvenirs and shit. I was like, oh my God. Afterwards, we met them. Like he introduced us to some of the cast. I saw the show 8 more times. I think they like dedicated a curtain call to me. Like
have
I was
you
like a
seen
child.
What?
Yeah. Like fully, like gave like me a roll of toilet paper that was signed and like dedicated a curtain call to me. And they're like, our fan, like Joey LaVarco. Like, and it was before Broadway fandom was like such a big thing,
Yeah.
So that's why it was like a deal to them. And it was way before social media or any of that kind of thing. So we exchanged emails, and then I just like kept in touch with him ever since. And then we were, tight. And then this story is very long, but
No.
basically,
No, this is amazing.
My mom got me into community theater after I like walked off the football fields when I was a kid because I was tired of getting my ass kicked every day. And I was like, I just want to like do something else. So I auditioned for the Music Man in Montclair, New Jersey, where I was born, at the Montclair Operetta Club. And I was in the ensemble. And I like did a show, literally like at least 2 shows a year in community theater until I eventually did 13. And like I just like was nonstop doing theater all the time.
That's the best story ever.
I think like that's like and honestly that's the abridged version.
That's the abridged version.
Well, we're long form content, so there's more details. Please.
Yeah. No, I mean
that's beautiful.
Yeah. No, that's really
I believe in seeing things multiple times, like really like.
Oh, we're like classic rewatchers for sure.
Between the two of us, I think we've seen Jersey Boys almost 30 times.
Yeah. Well, he's seen it more than 25. I've only seen it like 8-ish. And honestly, most of them have been since November 15th. Like that's just me. With movies, I'm always rewatching movies.
Oh yeah.
Shows, so.
I saw. I mean, so
I just couldn't afford to see shows at the time. So
it's probably so expensive.
Really?
There's this documentary called Repeat Attenders. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
So it's this documentary that came out during the pandemic. It's about people who go see shows 130, 150 times.
Mm-hmm.
I was in line for a show once, and I was behind this person who saw Rock of Ages 130 times.
It's cool with live theater, especially because I mean, every time you see something, it's a different show every time.
Yeah.
Whether you see like different covers in different roles or not, like even if you see the same cast a bunch of times, it's still going to be a different show. So like you as an audience member get to pay attention to something else that like your eye can't physically watch, simultaneously in the show.
Exactly.
What's the show that the one that you've seen the most and the one that you've had to go see it multiple times? So like, what's the one that you've seen the most? And if it's different than the one that you've like, oh my God, like I've had to see that multiple times.
I mean, You're in Town, I think I saw the most. I think that was really it. It was so young. But then like, because I became friends with Hunter after all of that, I kind of like followed him in everything that he did. So like I saw him in Little Shop like at least a handful of times. Mm. And I was still very young too when this was like.
I was 2003. So we were 8 years old.
Yeah.
8, 9 years old.
Yeah. And he was just more gracious than ever. So then I saw his like closing show and he gave me like his bow tie, his like Seymour bow tie that I wound up wearing when I did Seymour in high school. Like it's this whole freaking journey. I don't know though. I mean, other than that, because I didn't know anybody, I saw Next to Normal like 3 or 4 times because I loved that.
Yeah. What about Jersey Boys? When did you first see?
Oh no, sorry. I saw Jersey Boys like 50 million. To count. I probably saw Jersey Boys at least 5 or 6 times while I was on Broadway. Mm-hmm. And the last time I saw it, when I was home in Jersey, like during the pandemic, I was just like digging through old shit that I had at home. And I found like all my like playbills that I kind of keep. And I was looking through the last Jersey Boys when I had the names in there, like a handful of them where I was doing the show with at New World.
Unbelievable.
And I took a picture and like sent it to them. And I was like, guys.
It's full circle. See, but this is just such a classic story of someone who lives like in the Northeast, because like for us, we're from Florida, and like we always hear about these stories. We always like, let's just think that you would see in documentaries. Like you lived it. It's the coolest thing. And honestly, I can't help but think you're like the 5th Jonas brother, because the way like you would commute back and forth, like I'm sure the audition to go, it's true. Like you definitely have a very similar trajectory. And I think that's the coolest thing.
It's crazy that I actually never crossed paths with them.
I think you definitely passed drove past them on the turnpike or on the Garden State. I think Nick definitely waved to you, but maybe
I've probably driven by like Bon Jovi and Bruce Springsteen on the turnpike too.
Literally.
Everybody. My God.
So speaking of, I mean, it's crazy because we all these, a lot of people that we've met, while doing this podcast, and just immersing ourselves. Did I just say immersing? Immersing ourselves in this world. We've met people who who were chill with Bob and Frankie and Tommy and Nikki and Joey
and Charlie
and Jolong. So do you have any, cool, stories, people
from the old
neighborhood?
Yeah, I have a couple. One is more of a fact. The other is a story that, like, I think because I have photo proof of it, it's so just like present in my mind all the time. The one is, and it's crazy because I'm playing Pesci now, and I didn't really know it until I started doing Jersey Boys. But my grandfather went to CCD with Joe Pesci.
No,
they were like in the same CCD class. It's like kids Christian school.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
They were in the same CCD class in Nutley, New Jersey, way back when they were kids.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's wild. And the other one, and like, granted, my family, like my older family, probably has way more. This is just what I have like gathered, especially in the last 2-3 years I've been doing the show now. And this one, because I have a photo of it, it's just so real, and I know it's so true. My grandfather was in a drugstore, I think in Nutley, I'm assuming, because that's where he was, but it might have been Belleville too. I have to fact check. I'll let you know. But he was in a drugstore, and he like looks down, and he sees this guy, and he goes up to the clerk as this guy walks out of the store, and he's like, "Is that Frankie Valli?" And the woman was like, "Yeah, that's him. He lives like around the corner, like at, wherever his house was." My grandfather was like, "Great." Also, mind you, this must have been like 67 or 68 because my mom was 2 or 3. But my grandfather goes home to the house, picks up my mom, drives to the house, knocks on the door. Frankie answers. And he's like, "Hi, my name is," and he introduces himself, and I'm sure they probably had like at least 20 friends in common. And he had my mom, who was literally a toddler, in his arms, and there's pictures of them in Frankie's house. Frankie's sitting on this chair, and my mom is on his lap, and he's just like has my mom in his lap. It's so crazy.
Way.
It's so wild.
Camera? I wonder who took the picture.
I'm imagining if we wound up with the photo, I can only imagine that my grandfather had a camera on him.
Wow. And like no one did back then too. So that's
your mom is
moment.
Iconic.
Yes.
We love Suzan.
She's kind of the best. I'm not gonna lie.
We love her.
Yeah.
So your mom seemed like she was very supportive. She loved theater. I'm sure she wanted you to be.
My mom is the reason that I'm here today. Honestly, I would be so cool. Nowhere without her. I mean, so like not only did she take me to shows all the time when I was a kid, but then when I started working professionally, like even before 13, when I was doing like the commercials and the print stuff when I was a kid, or even this other show I wound up doing in Jersey that took me out of school a lot. I like was a part of this traveling troupe that went to elementary and middle schools and like put on like these assembly musicals for kids. But it took me out of school a lot. And my mom was the one who drove me around the tri-state area doing that. And my mom was the one who drove me to auditions in the city every day, would like pick me up from school. So like she is every reason why I am here, especially with Jersey Boys too, which we'll get into in a bit. But like, yeah, she's just the most supportive in the world.
She every time you're going on for Frankie, she's posting. She's like, it's just so amazing.
She's so amazing. She really is. Like I really could not have been any luckier in this life.
It's amazing. And she doesn't seem like, she's definitely not one of those, like those stage moms.
Like a hover.
Yeah.
No, she's not a stage mom. She's an Italian mom. So like, if you come into her circle though, but actually she's going to like fully take you in. And that's what that is. Like, you know, you're her kids. My friends are her kids. Like my castmates are her kids. That's just her nature.
There's a video on your YouTube page. It was you, Al Calderon, and your brother Frank. You were doing this, you know, this whole movie. Release Me, Release Us is the name of the video.
I need to figure out how to access this YouTube account.
It's so great, but there was a part where Al was gonna sleep over, and you were trying to figure out where you were gonna sleep, and Al was like, "I'll sleep on the couch," and your mom was like, "No, Joey will sleep on the couch.
You take the bed."
That's been my entire life, but that's like my mother, you know.
No, Joey. Same thing with my mom. Like your mom needs to meet my mom. Her name is Elena. Like she'll cook for anybody.
You guys might be related.
Yeah. Okay.
Honestly, like
that's crazy.
For everyone who knows, for everyone who doesn't, like on the socials. So Joey's mom posted something on Facebook about the recipes and recipes from her family. And she was from
Avellino, Italy, Northwest Italy.
And that is where Gia's family is from too.
It's unbelievable. So I'm still getting the relation there. Street. I know. That'd be insane, Joey. Because I swear, when I met you, I had the feeling that like I was like, I feel like I know this guy. And with your mom too.
And then a vowel.
So, right. And Tony Soprano, also from Avellino.
Delgado.
Yep. Pizza. So well, did you have a Soprano story?
Oh, no. Oh, actually, yeah, I do. So my grandfather, the grandfather that I'm talking about is my mom's father, obviously. Mm-hmm. And he, one of his proudest moments in life is that he had, when I was a kid, he had this like really nice blue Cadillac. It was like a light blue, like the I'm not a car guy at all, so forgive me, but it's like the like hood part that kind of came down to the doors. I guess not the hood, the roof part that kind of, like, you know how Cadillacs had like the multicolored kind of thing going on. It's like the top was like the one, you know, shade of color, and then the body was another. The body was like this like shiny light blue, and then the top was this like navy blue. Beautiful car, beautiful inside. He was at a gas station one day in Jersey, and some guys come up to him and they're like, "We like your car. We work for The Sopranos, like this TV show. We'll give you like this much money in cash if you could let your car be in the episode." So he like drove it to the, you know, wherever he had to drop it off. They like had it on set, and they gave it back to him, and they gave him like an X amount of money in cash for like having his car be in the background in The Sopranos.
I wonder what episode it is. We'll look for it, Patty.
I know. The other one is that is like where I went to high school. That town that they shot it in, The Sopranos.
What town?
Caldwell, North Caldwell, New Jersey.
Caldwell, right.
Okay.
That's like, so like, yeah, because my high school is a regional high school that was like 4 towns in New Jersey. You know, it was like Fairfield, Roseland, Essex Fells, and North Caldwell. Because they're like smaller towns, so they just put them into one high school, and that's West Essex.
Oh.
That's in North Caldwell. So like that, all those neighborhoods around there look like, you know, these Tony Soprano houses.
Wow.
And you know, you can just drive up to that house and see it.
I know, we definitely got to do that one day. Yeah. So if there was a Jersey tour that could go with Jersey Boys and The Sopranos and even Goodfellas, all the things, like where do you think?
What are some of the hits?
The hot spots?
I mean, if you're trying to see Tony Soprano's house, go to North Caldwell. You can go there. Like Newark and Belleville, you want to go to the places like that you can talk to people who knew these guys.
Belmont Tavern,
obviously they're especially there, and like that's a big Jersey Boys connect too. Like a lot of Jersey Boys people also have just hung out at Belmont Tavern, so like
there's like a whole very Jersey Boys shrine over there.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah. Did you grow up eating there?
A few times, not like a lot, but obviously it's like well-known place. So once in a while.
Yeah, we went there once.
Yeah.
It was.
Did you get the chicken
like,
Savoy?
Yes, we did.
I didn't realize what Savoy was. All I know is the Savoy Theater. That's where Oliver played. That's where the last revival of Oliver played in West End.
Olive vinegar. That's
Olive vinegar.
That's.
I said, I'll have one of those.
One of those. But we also had the what is it called? The pot cheese.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
On the
Ricotta.
pasta. Yeah.
Ricotta.
That was delicious.
The ricotta. The biscotti. Someone said biscotti.
Someone has
Biscotti.
named their dog. Yeah, their dog Biscotti.
It's a biscotti.
And I'm like, what? I'm like, I'm Italian. Like, oh, biscotti. Yeah. You have a good night. Bye.
Biscotti.
Yeah.
Just call your dog Scotty then.
Right. Perfect.
Make it a cute name.
Yeah, Scotty. Not Biscotti. Stupid.
So. Kind of switching gears for a second. So,
all right,
you were in the Radio City Christmas Spectacular.
I was.
Come on.
Okay, so how did that come to be? What happened? How'd you get the gig? I'm blown away.
So it was after 13. It was the same casting director who did 13, Mark Simon. Wonderful human being. He got me this audition for it the year after 13 closed. I did not book it the year that I went in for it. And I was like, great, okay, it's something that they don't want me for. The next year comes around, I go back in for it, make it, to the end. I think this is the one where I got a Facebook message from Mark Simon, and he was like, hey, FYI, offer coming your way, get ready. And I was like, and I woke up to this as I think I was a sophomore in high school when I did it. So I woke up to my phone and saw that, and I was like, I go upstairs, my mom's like, morning, and I'm like, Mom, show her my phone, and she's like, holy shit. So then that happens, and that experience, I mean, unlike anything else in the world that you could do, because that show has so much in it. It's got the Rockettes, and it's got the animals and the flying and the bells and whistles of Radio City. Truly a once in a lifetime, unless you do it more years, but you'll never get that experience. So it was so iconic to be a part of something like that, and so crazy. And I met so many cool people, famous people, different people, just a wild experience. And then I got to do the tour the next year, and that was even different than that.
How much of a scaled down production is the tour?
Okay. So the New York production has two casts, period.
Okay.
There's the gold cast and the blue cast.
I grew up with double cast in community theater.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a bad formula for shows, especially that have these rigorous runs like that, Radio City schedules are 4 or 5 shows a day. Yeah. So they would have the gold cast would be the later half of the day shows, and then the blue cast would be the morning afternoon ones. And the tour only has one cast, so there's one set of Rockettes, one set of singers, one set of dancer ensembles, one Santa.
I didn't realize that the Rockettes were double cast as well
in New York. Yeah,
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, there's 80 something Rockettes because there's 40 something in each cast.
I never put that together. I always wanted to be a Rockette, but yeah, that's so cool.
It's crazy. That's the other thing. Seeing that rehearsal process is something I would why would I ever experience a Rockette rehearsal process in my life? Why? We literally never could. So having that experience and seeing what they go through, I was like, holy shit. I didn't take for granted 1 second, even that young, that I was seeing something I should never be seeing in my life for whatever reason.
Where were the rehearsals? At Lincoln Center?
No, our rehearsals were at a church that they converted into a rehearsal space.
You're kidding.
on West 60 something Street, like past Columbus Circle.
Oh shit.
And then, but they also have a rehearsal studio in Radio City. It just depends on what's going on at Radio City. Because, you know, at the beginning of the rehearsal process for the Christmas Spectacular, there's like probably a concert or two happening at Radio City. So my first like day at Radio City ever, when I was there, I think I like was there for a music rehearsal maybe in one of the studios. So like our child wranglers, which was the term back then, I think they're guardians now. But they took us over to the hall and we rode up in an elevator, did the rehearsal, came back down on the elevator stops, and like a woman and like a few guys get on and the doors close and we keep going down, and like all the people I was with start like doing like awkward eyes to each other and like kind of laughing. And I was like, what the fuck are you all laughing at? Like, what? And then eventually like the woman and like the guys get off, they're like, do you know who that was? And I was like, no, who? And they were like, that was Mary J. Blige.
Oh shit.
I was like, no, it wasn't, because she was like wearing this like huge coat and a hat.
Right.
And that was day one, you know.
Amazing.
So
this is day one.
It was
Joey, that's wonderful. Okay, so okay. So what did your family think of this? So you have 2 older brothers?
I have an older brother and an older sister.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So like, were they shocked when you landed this?
I don't know. I mean, I know they were definitely excited. I can't say if they were shocked or not, because this was also after 13. This was after like this was like in the timeline, you know.
Yeah.
They might have been more shocked when I booked my first professional theater gig, 13. Like Radio City, I think they were just super excited for her.
Of course.
Yeah. But like we were all so close. We are all so close in age that it's just like, you know, crazy, because we were all in high school at the same time. So like all of a sudden, like I'm like dipping out and like kind of living this life, and they're all like still there.
All right, so you're 26, right? And then is your brother 27?
My brother is 29. I think he's turning 30 in like less than a month. Oh wait, is today he turns 30 in a month from today.
Wow.
That we're talking right now.
Happy early birthday.
Yeah. And my sister is 11 months older than me. My sister's adopted. So we're like super close in age.
Yeah. Oh my God. 11 months.
She was like only a year older than me in like high school.
God bless your family and your mom, like having like 3 kids like that close in age, and you going everywhere. Oh my God. That sounds like so much fun though. And I don't want to scope over 13 at all. So like, we definitely don't want to do that.
Oh no. Yeah. I mean, we have a whole section.
Yeah.
We have a whole section for 13.
Well, so when did you get your agent?
So that show that I was telling you about, that like traveled around New Jersey and you know, performed assembly shows at schools, they had like a management company too. And with that management company, I met this agency that I ultimately signed with. And the first thing they sent me out for was this new musical that was like all teenagers. It was going to do some regional run in Connecticut. If all went well, maybe it would go to Broadway. So I auditioned for this thing called 13. Wind up getting it. Crazy. It's like we did this regional, like we went up to Goodspeed.
Were you at the Goodspeed? What did you do at the Goodspeed?
Yeah.
But so how involved was Jason Robert Brown with you guys?
Super involved. He was like the most like hands-on in the process. Truly, so ever since like day one to like the closing on Broadway. I auditioned for the show and they called me back. First of all, they asked me to sing a pop rock song for the first audition because it was just for Mark Sivan, the casting director. And I was such a theater kid, like such a musical theater kid, that I didn't have any pop rock at all. And also I was like 12 years old. So like, forgive me for not having some repertoire in my book. But I sing It's Possible from Seussical because I just did Seussical like 5 times. So Mark Simon was like, all right, I'm going to call you back for like the writers, but please bring in a pop rock song. I was like, okay. I like spent the next week working on Uptown Girl by Billy Joel.
Nice. Beautiful.
Which actually was my audition song for Jersey Boys as well.
Hey.
The first time I went in for NTL, like before I did material from the show, and I get to the callback for 13, and like me and my mom sit down because you know it's like your parents are bringing you to these auditions, so like that's the waiting room too, you know, is like every other kid and their mom. Got it. And we're like, this kid goes in before me, and all of a sudden you start hearing the intro to Uptown Girl and him start singing it. And me and my mom look at each other and we're like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Probably was a direct quote from 12-year-old me. And I go in after this kid comes out. It's like Jason, the book writers, Mark, and I was like, I'm so sorry, but like the song that I prepared is Uptown Girl. I can sing like any other song you'd want from my book, but like that was it. And Jason, without missing a beat, goes, it's all right, I'm sure you'll probably kick his ass anyway. Cues the pianist. And then I start singing. And then Jason was like drumming on the table the whole time as I was doing it. And like then they called me back, like, yeah. And then they called me back a few more times. And then like we wound up just like, you know, building this fucking show with Jason Robert Brown and Chris Catelli and all these like Tom Kitt, like all these powerhouse names were in the room, like creating this teenager musical.
Did Tom Kitt create the arrangements or was he the supervisor?
No, Tom Kitt was our MD.
Oh shit, I didn't know that.
Tom Kitt was like our music director and the pianist for the show. So like he, like the band was all teenagers and they were all on stage. You saw them all. And then like right off, like in the wing was Tom on a piano, like with the mic, you know, playing and cueing and doing it all.
That's sick.
This is unbelievable. Yeah. But it's just a slice of history too with our generation. Like, do you know how huge this is? Like, especially looking back, like with Ariana Grande and the Gillies, like it's crazy. So do you keep in touch with them? No.
Do I keep in touch? No, I don't know how huge it is. Like, you know, because it feels like such a personal thing still.
Yeah.
And I think it always will. So I think there'll always be this kind of surreal feeling about it, you know? But like I still am talking to kids at schools and like coming in on 13 rehearsals and seeing amateur productions and like trying to have my like, you know, little moment
Give
here
back.
with everyone because it's nice. It's like crazy that we did this thing. Do I keep in touch with any like the people in New York? Really, mostly because I see them and you know, like the ones who are still actors in New York, I'll run into them all the time. We had a Zoom like reunion interview at the beginning of the pandemic in like April or May of 2020.
I remember that.
Yeah. And that was the first time a lot of us had seen each other or spoken to each other since.
Wow.
So yeah, it was really cool. I mean, I'll always have like such a soft spot in my heart for these people. And it's really special when we run into each other, or it's really special with like, you're just like in the supermarket and you hear one of their like platinum songs come on.
Can you tell us about Delaney and the pig? This is so niche, guys.
I forgot that was even a thing until you like mentioned.
So let's please explain what it is.
Yeah, so Delaney. So I was perusing YouTube, you know, when we were researching for this interview, and was it Delaney Morrow is her name?
Yes, Delaney Morrow played Kendra in 13.
Kendra, yeah. So she was doing, they were backstage at 13, and Joey had on this pig head. And there was this little, as you do. And there are a few episodes of this little YouTube thing called Delaney and the Pig. And it's about this pig who gives affection to human beings. And it is
not weird at all.
It's just the cutest and funniest and purest and sweetest thing ever.
Yeah.
So like the kind of thing that you do when you bond with your castmates, you know.
Yes. When you're 12 years old, it's just what you
Well, that's the thing about that process, is that like we were in these professional environments for so long that like anytime we could just be kids, we were, you know.
Right.
Even in Connecticut, like we were all living in houses together.
Yeah.
So like if we weren't in rehearsal, we were like running down a mountain or skipping like over rocks in a lake and shit. Like
of course,
just trying to have fun all the time.
Yeah.
And you know that doesn't stop, you know. I don't remember who we were talking. I think we were talking to Corey Jacoma, or I don't remember exactly who we were talking about, but who we were talking to when we brought this up. But before you, I think it was before you came into the show, or maybe it was after you came in, they were someone took a picture of Steven Surf and started putting it on pictures of props.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I was there for that.
So, yeah, so I think it was before you came in. So like the one that I know about that made it into the show. So when Frankie and Bob are in the studio recording,
I've actually never heard about this.
This is so
That's
funny.
nuts.
So it was like the shirtless picture of it was on the claim check too. It was this shirtless picture of Steven Surf. It was on the claim check, and it was on the note card that Bob hands to you in the recording studio in the second act. When you're recording, I can see there ain't no room for me. So it's just like this picture of a shirtless Steven Surf. So you know, the hijinks they just don't stop. You know.
I mean, that's true. The hijinks don't stop. They never will.
I feel like when we were younger, at least for our generation, we put so much pressure on ourselves, and we always want to be the best. Like if you were a competitive kid, like born between like 95 and 97, you were like kind of like this.
Yeah.
But in order to perform, 8 shows a week, you have to learn to let go of all of that in order to perform well and to hit those high notes that you have to, especially for you, for you to get that falsetto.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
So how would you describe did you feel that pressure when you were doing 13, and do you feel it now?
I think if anything, I feel it more now than I did when I was doing 13, to be honest, because 13, I did not understand like the weight of this project that I was involved in. Like I didn't understand the following it had, the influence it had.
Yeah.
The amount, I mean, it's real, but like the amount of money that was put into that, like as a kid, you don't understand that. You think you're doing like I'm doing it for fun, Right. Now, like as an adult, I do love it and my whole heart is here, but there also is the thought of like, okay, I need this paycheck for rent and to live as an adult, And as a kid, it's like, okay, I'm having, especially in a show like 13, it's not like I was in a show with a bunch of adults. It was like, we're all kids. It was like summer camp every day.
It was kind of like another community theater production.
Yeah,
it felt like that way, especially
yeah.
coming right from community theater. It's all I'd ever done as far as theater went my whole life. So like, this did not feel much different.
Right. That's amazing, because I feel like you could feel entitled, when you're younger, and then when you do shows when you're older. So I'm glad that's the experience you had.
There is that end though too. I mean, like I definitely there were parts of my younger self that thought his shit didn't stink, because of what I was doing, and then like going back to school after it was all said and done, and like, there was that too. But ultimately, like, you look at, I'm doing the show Jersey Boys now, which so many people have seen in all over the world and have so many expectations of, and you're like, okay, now you're, in this piece that so many people know, like there's a lot of pressure there too.
Yeah.
And there's always been that added pressure from, the people who knew Frankie Valli, who knew Joe, who knew Nick, who knew the Four Seasons, who grew up with the Four Seasons, you have, and then you can get to the people.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like the Stations of the Cross.
But you're working like in to out, so that's different, because especially since you're from Jersey.
But I think what, especially for you, for Joey fucking LaVarco. All three of us had a very similar upbringing where we were constantly doing shows, like a lot of shows. I was doing sometimes 6 shows a year with community theater growing up, and it teaches you stamina, and it gets that
your training.
It's the training, and it gets that mind going. We're like, hey, sometimes we would do 3-week long runs at this community theater that I grew up in, where we would do 6 shows a week for 3 weeks.
Awesome.
It really does. So going from that to Broadway to Jersey Boys, it really definitely does help. And I think you had it was like hand to glove for you. And we are always so impressed and so blown away by your consistency.
It's true.
Your amazing work ethic,
because you're so grounded, Joey. You're so chill.
And,
you've accomplished so much, and you're 26. It's unbelievable.
So fucking talented, man.
Thank you. I'm also terrible at accepting compliments or anything.
Aren't we all?
Aren't we all?
That's part of our DNA. No, but it's just so amazing. And so, of course, and with school. So how did school work when you were doing all these things?
It did.
Did you graduate later? Were you still doing your classes? Did you take a year off? Did you have to drop out? What did you do?
So when I was doing the show in Connecticut, I was getting tutored the entire time. Because the run was 3 months, 2.5 months, 3 with rehearsal, but they knew how long the run was, so they knew to provide tutors for this amount of time. So I was getting my schoolwork sent either physically home with my brother and sister, who would come up to Connecticut and kind of give me it every 2 weeks from my teachers who I was in school with, or I'd get emails being do this, and then the tutors who were with us in the cast of 13 would help me out with whatever, and they would kind of walk around a giant room helping everybody with their individual work. And then when we got to Broadway, they provided us tutoring for all of previews. And then once the show opened, they stopped. And they were like, okay, you're on your own now officially.
Scandalous.
Well, if you think about it, you're not in rehearsal all day. When we were rehearsing and doing previews, we were in rehearsal all day, or we had rehearsal during the day and the show at night. So they have to provide tutoring to make sure that you are getting your school hours in there. But once the show opened, they were like, okay, this is life now. Go
You're
find
professional.
Your things. So I wound up dropping out of my school and doing homeschooling for 4 months. And then I went back to school. When the show closed, it means that I just didn't, I got sent kits, and I was like, okay, how can I finagle my way out of this? Look at all the cheat codes. Great. So
they sent you kits, but you had Tom kits. So
shit.
What matters?
Oh shit, I love that.
I should have graduated later. Really,
Tom Kit University.
Gotcha,
would you say, I have a very important question. Would you say that those tutors taught you everything you know, but not everything they know?
No.
Considering that I was 13 years old, I hope so.
Oh my God.
Really hope so.
But also not in the way that Tommy DeVito is saying.
Yeah,
that would be terrible.
Yeah.
And
that'd
be a different. That'd be a lawsuit.
That's a messy situation right there.
I just want to clarify. I'm talking educationally.
I'm sorry.
Just it's a different kind of education.
You had a little tutoring.
So funny.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, but definitely Tom Kit University, not.
Tom Kit JRB University.
Did you then check out the graduate course? Did you, just because we weren't? Did you go to did you go to college?
I did for a couple of years, and then I dropped out. At pace for a second.
Oh shit! Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you know Corey Giacoma?
Oh my God, you guys, right?
Same
It was
time, right?
a class of
Awesome.
when I was
Yeah,
there.
and Tony Clements, right?
Tony, did you
Yes.
did you go to school?
Yeah.
Yeah, with Tony.
Yeah.
Yes. The Jersey Crew.
But what do you love about like the music of Jersey Boys in the 60s and beyond?
It's so fucking catchy. Like that's like the obvious thing, but I think what like you don't realize how good the harmonies are until you kind of break them down, you know, because they sound so natural and you don't even think twice about how intricate they can be until you actually break them down. So when I auditioned for the ship, the like I think like the second or third callback I had was a harmony call where the like they only had like just the little section of music, the let's hang on to what we got, don't let go, girl, we got a lot between us, hang on to what we got, just that. But like 4 parts, and they were like, these are the 4 parts of it. They sent like audios, they sent music, they were like, know the parts when you come
all
in.
4.
Well, I was like, okay, I'm this like short dude who really can only play one of these roles and the 4. So I'm only going to know the top one because why would I need to know any other ones? I get to this harmony call and they're like, okay. And they keep pairing me in these like quartets with literally every other part but the Frankie part.
Oh.
So I'm singing like the Bob part, the like, you know, second tenor one and the bass one. I've now know all of these parts, and they never made me sing the Frankie one once at this harmony call that they had for us.
So this is
I don't know how I booked this.
This
to what we got.
It's so similar.
Yeah, it is. Well, I mean, yeah. So they made us do that, but like I sang literally every other part, and then at the end, I forget who even was like running this music part. It was definitely somebody who's been working with Jersey Boys, but it's nobody I could recall. So like, I don't know if I've ever seen this person since, but at the end, he was like, okay, everybody just sing like whatever part you want now. And I was like, now's the time. And I'm like, and I was like singing that shit high. Yeah, it was just crazy. But I think that's what I love about it is that even backstage now during Let's Hang On, if I'm on as Joey and I'm like getting ready to push the recording studio thing on because I'm playing sound engineer, like I'm singing all the part every night. I like pick a different part and I'll like sing it just kind of like to myself and like as like a joke almost. But yeah, just cause it's like it's so cool. It's so freaking cool. I don't know.
I love it.
I think that's my favorite part, how tight it all is.
You know what? If you listen to the original Come On Marianne, it's that intro, Marianne.
It is.
So I wanted to ask about Joe Pesci, because you are the first Joe Pesci from Stage Production who we're talking to about this. So how did you find your Joey? Because you are the best Joey I've ever seen. Seriously. Yes. And here's
a lot of weight there.
Yes, no, because actually, so okay, my cousin Vinny is my family's movie. I was born watching that movie. My mom looks just like Marissa Tomei. It's unbelievable. So
really?
I'm like, yes. So Joe Pesci's like so close to me, and because your name is Joey, like my whole family is every man in my family, we're all Joes. Like we're a Joe family. Like people have a Frankie
we're Joes,
family.
Franks, Michaels.
Yep, everybody. Yes, seriously, you are the most hilarious one I have seen. So how did you like personalize your Joey?
I've been growing up on a lot of Pesci movies. Like you were saying, like my cousin Vinny, like Goodfellas. Like these are movies that were just playing on in the background of my childhood because they were always on the TV in some other room. You know, so like and I mean even Home Alone, but like more or less Home Alone because I don't consider Home Alone like the essence of Joe Pesci. You know,
same.
And to be honest, I don't really think he does either.
No,
but
or
I don't know. I don't know. There's just always been that with me, so it was never hard. And the like talking to I got before I even opened my mouth the first time I did it in rehearsals is like they were like, do not make an imitation, don't like, you know, make this a character by any means, but like I've always thought when Tommy says Joe Pesci, you want to be able to like put two and two together after he says that and after you watch that first bowling alley scene, you know?
Yeah.
So like I'm just trying to keep it as most authentic as I think it could be as far as like who Pesci was back then, you know, and also like relating to the audience like this guy that everybody knows without it being a character. There's a lot to think about, but
that's amazing how you told it, that, like, you know, how you told, like, the way it's directed, like, you know, this is not a caricature, this is not a character, this is a real person who existed.
Because he wasn't, you know, like he is a very real person who got these guys together in the way that he did, you know, and when Frankie and Bob and Tommy, I guess too, were telling Rick and Marshall, you know, their stories about their lives, like all of them clearly painted this picture of who Joe Pesci was and what he did for the group, that's how they wrote it. So I think it's all very real. And it's an honor to be able to represent this person who I feel like I've grown up with my entire life.
Yeah, it's true. Well, you really do a magnificent job. And
thank you.
Well, you know, as you were saying that, because I was also just like rolling, like, you know, other like Italian movies and shows that like are always playing at our houses. You do have a bit of a Tony Soprano in you too, in there, where like, because when you say it's like Gaudio, Bob Gaudio, like you have this, like you take a breath, like how Tony does, you know, who does like the thing. You have that. It's so cool. So I just think you really do have the essence of every main Jersey thing that everybody keeps in their subconscious, and you put it out there.
I think I've also just like known so many Italian guys, like guys that like I've watched all these guys. I've like gone to the bagel shop in the morning and seen these guys like playing cards like in the front at a table drinking their coffee, you know, and how they've spoken to me. And I'm like, that's what I'm pulling from. That's where all this comes from. And the great part about reopening the show is that now there's all this creative attention that I never thought in a million years I would get on this show, because it's a long running show that I have been idolizing since I was, you know,
9
in like like 9 or 10 years old, really. Like probably like 10 or 11 actually, if you think about it. That I never thought in years I'd be working with these guys, but then you like are in rehearsals with Des now, and he's like doing scene work with you, and he's like, all right, let's do like Joe Pesci stuff, and I'm like, holy shit, like fuck, that's crazy. And he's giving notes and like compliments about like, you know, and this is also a testament to John Rochette and like our scene work that I do with him, because I feel like a lot of the Frankie Tommy dynamic is really important as to these guys and their relationship, and like how their relationship formed the band in a way, you know. So it's really cool, and it's really encouraging just to get this direction and this feedback from him, you know, because he's just on board with everything that's going on, like across the board with the entire company. But yeah, it's a really cool moment in time, and I feel completely honored and grateful.
Yay! Well, we're so glad you do. Like, please, like coming from us who, of course, are just like, we're here to celebrate you and everybody in the show. Like, please take it in, and like, just like, if you can, like go like get that bird's eye view for yourself and be like, yo, like I'm here, like a new show tomorrow. Please try to do that, because it's important for like for you, like, so it can keep you excited. And another thing, so because the last time I saw the show before the reopening was, well, I know we saw it in January 2020.
Yeah.
But I really wasn't. There were so many things I missed. And so I didn't realize that Joey is in the corner dancing like this. I never saw that.
There's a Joey dance. That is
I never knew that until reopening. I just never saw it. I wasn't looking over there. I don't know why I wasn't paying attention, but when I saw you do it, I was like, I thought you were like improvising or something. I had no clue. So that is a choreographed part. It's always been there.
That is a choreographed part. That's a Joe Pesci staple. The shoulder shrugs.
Yes.
Oh shit.
Yes. So fun.
Yeah.
Won't you
because you're also singing there too, you know. That's like you start doubling Frankie on the go on and cry. So like also, it makes sense that he's just like living in his groove and like
are you doubling or are you, because I think you guys are singing two different things there, right?
At that part we are, but at the go on end we sing different parts, and then for the rest of it we do, and then the end, the last ooh-wee-ooh-wees.
Exactly. And so you're singing higher than him on go on end, right?
On go on and I am, and on the ooh-wee-ooh-wees he's higher.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
that's so cool. Well, thank you for that fun fact. So next time everybody goes to the show, if you just watch Joey doing his shoulder shrugs. It's so good.
Are you the youngest cast member to play Joey / Frankie?
I don't know. I assume I'm in the mix because I booked the show when I was 23. I mean, on the ship at least. And I did I went on for Frankie first after my 24th birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, well, it was a few weeks afterwards, but it was a very nice birthday gift, to say the least. I don't know, maybe I'm sure I'm definitely there. I can't imagine anybody much younger doing it. So
Eric Bergen was 21.
The thing about like, you know, this 2-year break though is coming back to it. Act 2 used to be like a little scarier for me as Frankie. Not scarier, but just like more in the unknown than Act 1 was. I felt way more comfortable with Act 1. Mm-hmm. Now I'm like very excited for Act 2. And I'm not saying I've gone through any of the experiences that Frankie's gone through in his life of, you know, hard times as far as divorce and losing a kid. And so I can't relate on that aspect. But I feel like after going through 2 years of the pandemic, like, I'm just 2 years older. So like there's that aspect, like I'm just 2 years older, so it's exciting to bring that to the role now in Act 2 when he's older. And like times have been hard for everybody in the last 2 years, you know what I mean? So now I'm having a lot more fun with the second act than I ever have, and
good.
It's a really cool time.
That's really
I was saying this to somebody yesterday. I was just like, Act 2's a lot more fun now than I ever really had with it.
Any parts specifically that reach out to you
in Act 2? I mean, this has always been the case, but I love the sit down so much. That is like I could live in that for days, that scene. I've really come to love Marianne now. And I think that's because like the pandemic gave me so much time to listen to all of these old Four Seasons records and like really analyze them and like really pay attention to Frankie's vocal stylings, even to the point where like I'm asking our music team now, like, hey, can I do this at certain parts because Frankie's done this on the record, and like I'm trying to be you know, accurate. And they're like, for the case of storytelling, don't do it at this part, because like you have to separate, you know, the show and what Jersey Boys is itself as a piece of, you know, art than the Four Seasons, right? You know, so for certain parts, like for example, like My Eyes Adored You, he'll be like climb the ladder up to fortune and fame, and he does this like work my fingers to the bone. I was like, hey, can I do this, like, because I really like it and can do it. And they were like, for the sake of storytelling in this moment in the show, because he's, you know, this is supposed to be one of the more intimate moments with Frankie, don't do it. And I was like, great, I respect that. So like there also is that like separating, you know, Jersey Boys from Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons.
Of course, and that's exciting.
And that brings us to another question. Costumes, you know, why do you think Frankie's already wearing his winter suit for Beggin' and for the sit down? Everyone's still in fall.
Which answer do you want? Like the logistics of it, or do you want like the meaning? Because I think there's
both.
Well, let's
the logistics
have
of it is that Frankie walks on stage for Megan and doesn't leave until the end of the show.
Mhm.
That's his own. So like he has to be in the last costume he's going to be in.
Mhm.
The other thing is when Frankie comes on for Megan, that's when he makes the deal with Jip, right?
Mhm.
So like that Frankie's moment of stepping away as his own, making his own calls by himself. So like it makes sense that he's in his like final look for that as he's come into like, you know, he's evolved into like the final Frankie, let's say, you know, of the show. But also Frankie has that suit on during the breakup scene as well, under the trench coat.
Yeah.
So like there also could be the argument that it's when Tommy fucks everything up in that sense, and Frankie's just like done. And now he's got this black suit on and he totally changes his mood because he like loses almost all respect for Tommy.
Wow.
Right. It's beautiful.
So
what's the story behind the trench coat? Oh yes. Sorry.
Okay. Why does the this is the one thing in Jersey Boys I don't understand. Why does the trench coat look like a doctor coat? With the light, it looks like it's all white. Is it a white coat?
No, it's tan. It's a very light tan. I guess it could look white with the lights, huh?
In the show because of, you know, the pandemic, because of, you know, the virus and everything.
This is your first time seeing this change?
This is the first, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
No kiss?
No,
this is my first time doing it.
There's no
kiss?
There
was no kiss.
No kiss anymore.
So what'd you do?
It was like whisper. It was a sweet whisper. Yeah.
Okay.
She whispers sweet nothings into his ear.
There you go. Wow. Okay.
So the biggest change was no more drug.
Oh my God! Can I talk about that, please?
Yes.
Please. We've been wanting someone to talk about that.
If there's anything that I can talk about that's crazy, sorry, that's what's new in Jersey Boys. So you know, like infamously, like the Santa pimp brings out the joint, passes it around, everybody takes a hit out of it so that the thing stays cherried and lit, and it keeps going. Now, the technique is that I walk into the wings where I meet one of our fabulous props persons lighting a joint that is stuck in at the end of a turkey baster. So like turkey baster, top of it, sticks the joint in, has a lighter in the one hand, is lighting it and is basting the other side so it's pulling, and is fully like lighting the joint like that. Because I used to, before the pandemic, I used to just like go pick up the joint, like light it, pull on it, exhale, like make sure it's lit enough for me to sing and pass it down. But now it's fully done in a turkey baster.
That is hysterical.
Like black gloves.
Do you know who came up with that?
I think it was one of our old props persons came up with it. I think.
Okay.
I don't know for sure, but I believe that's what I've heard. Somebody who was with the show for a bit and then recently left, I think came up with the idea.
Theater people are so resourceful.
And then we had to like film it for all the companies in the world to see.
That's so
it was
funny.
This like whole ordeal. Yeah.
But there is like a physical, like you do use an actual lighter to.
The person who's doing it now, AJ, will get the turkey baster in this hand. We'll have the joint in this hand. We'll shove it in at the like top end of the turkey baster. You know, we'll like stick it in so that it's stuck in there. And then we'll have the lighter in his hand. We'll light the top of the joint and we'll be like, so that it pulls the joint and starts like, you know, essentially smoking it itself.
That's so cool.
And then I like take it out of the turkey baster and walk on stage and pass it down, and then CJ's the only one who hits it, or whoever's got it.
Right.
Self-smoking spliff.
well, of course it's not real marijuana. Like
no, I actually
it
just
is.
Like I just have this. We're fully getting baked every show. But the way that stuff smells and the way that like the smoke goes around, we all would be. No, it's like a. There's like all these herbs and shit in it. I forget. I had the whole lowdown the other day, and I couldn't even.
It should always smell so bad.
Yeah, it's terrible. My God.
So bad.
My favorite is like when Aaron is singing Moody's Mood and I'm like watching him and there's the M4 character smoking a cigarette like along the stairs. And that stuff is blowing in my face the whole time.
Yeah.
And I'm always like looking at him like teary-eyed. I'm like, he's so small.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know?
Dude, you're playing Frankie Valli in New York. Come on.
I like pinch me.
That's just
Crazy.
while I was watching you do your thing up there, I just felt so much happiness for you because you get to just do this, and that's your job.
Yeah.
That's your job.
Yeah,
really
it's
cool.
wild that's the job, you know. I don't take it for granted, and I couldn't be any more grateful that's the way life is right now.
Yes.
Especially a Saturday night, you know, like that's only happened to maybe once to me before while I was in New York, having one of those Saturday night crowds. They're fun.
Yeah.
And there were so many I was sitting next to these two wonderful ladies who, you know, they saw your post and they were like, yeah, we're going to see it. You know, at most of that crowd, pretty sure was there for you that
Came to
night.
see you.
That's very kind. I try and like, you know, post as soon as I either know or I officially kind of say when I'm going to be on. I want everybody to come see it. I'm doing my dream role in New York. Like, of course, I'm going to blast it everywhere for
As
people
you
to come
should.
see. So it was
You
really
fucking
special to
should.
have you there. Thank you for coming.
If I'm able to be there, I'm there. And next time,
I know, me too. I'm so sorry. I couldn't get back to the city, but next time, please, like
we're both there.
We'll be there.
I'll let you know.
A perfect place to wrap up.
I agree.
Thank you very much,
Thank you,
everyone,
Joey.
for joining. Thank you, Joey LaVarco.
Yes, for
This
your
was a
only
pleasure.
night off, for talking to us.
When the company management, production team, the COVID compliance managers, everyone who just did their part to really keep shows going during these last month. Like, everyone follow Joey on Instagram. What is your Instagram handle, my friend?
At Joey LaVarco, just the name, JoeyLaVarco.
It's like JoeyLaVarco.
It's literally the same exact thing.
Are you ready? JoeyLaVarco.
Yep.
That's it.
Joey LaVarco.
Watch all the videos you can. Go see him as Joe Pesci and others. And follow him on Instagram so you can see when he's going to go on as Frankie Valli.
Set those post notifications.
See him.
Turn your notifications on.
Exactly. Watch him sing you into the ground. Watch him act you into the ground. Watch him.
To the ground.
I'm
going to act you into the fucking ground.
Billy Porter says that on his video with
that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sing you into the ground. Follow us at SilhouettesJB Podcast _ on Instagram. Follow us on Facebook, SilhouettesJB Podcast. Follow us on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe. SilhouettesJB Podcast. Listen to us wherever you can find podcasts. Thank you to Anchor for sponsoring us. And thank you to Suzan Tai from Bono / Brian Brown. Thank you to Jess Ludwig from the Dodgers. Thank you to everyone at the Dodgers, Broadway booking office, Bono, Brian Brown.
We would not be here without you.
We would not be here without you.
Yeah.
And
also, yes, and Joey, you're the only one who was drinking wine during the interview the entire time.
Cheers. I figured that we were doing like a salute. It was a red wine occasion, of course.
Exactly. Thank you for being so into it.
Cheers.